Hello and welcome. This is Enlightened Connections, a space where unseen threads are illuminated. Between people and spirit, between animals and their humans, and between the everyday and the extraordinary. I'm your host, Lisa Aston Michael, medium, healer, and animal communicator. And I invite you each week to join me as I share conversations and practices that bring light, healing, and connection into your world. Okay, welcome, and welcome. My guest this week is a very special guest, actually, because this is Tamara Shead. And Tamara is an animal acupuncturist, dog nutritionist, owner-founder of Whiskey River Retrievers, and oh my gosh, look, the list goes on. She has a Bachelor of Education, a Diploma of Animal Acupuncture, and a Diploma in Equine Sports Massage and Carnivore Nutrition. She's practiced acupuncture for 12 years. Tam tells me she was born and raised in South Africa and that she's an avid lover of the bushveld. And I didn't know what the bushveld was. I thought it might have been a band, so I Googled it. And I found that the bushveld is a subtropical woodland ecoregion in southern Africa, which straddles the Tropic of Capricorn and constitutes the southern part of the Zambian region. So I hope Mr. Google's given me the right information. And finally, definitely not last and least, Tam is also animal mum to 7 gorgeous dogs, 6 horses, multiple farm animals, and whoever else chooses to live at Whiskey River. Welcome, Tam. It's so exciting to have you here. I've got so much to ask you. Let's take it back. Where did you begin on this road in the animal work that you do? Where did you begin? What called you? Let's start there.
Well, hi, Lise. Thank you so much for having me. I'm beyond excited to be on your podcast. I guess the reason I am really excited to be here is because you were actually the reason that I got on this path. I don't know if you remember that, but I still am very blessed to have him. My very old, he's 27 now, my thoroughbred, Oki. And he required a lot of care. He was in a very bad way when I got him. And his body was absolutely wrecked from being a racehorse for very many years and then facing severe neglect in the home that we found him in. I took him home basically to put him to sleep because I just thought that would be a better life than the one he was living. And I had a wonderful vet at the time who encouraged me to try to keep going with him. Thankfully we did, because he's 27 now, as I mentioned. But he was the reason that I actually discovered animal acupuncture. So he required treatments multiple times a week while we were trying to fix this boy out. To the point that the lady who was doing the acupuncture said to me, "You're better off to go and get the diploma yourself. It's going to cost you less." So I did. And, at the time I was a teacher. I was teaching at a primary school and had moved from South Africa a couple of years before that and was very homesick. Obviously having left all of our family and friends and everything behind. So it was kind of at this weird crossroads where I'd done the diploma, I was working on Oki myself, and then dabbling on my weekends doing acupuncture on other animals for people, for friends, not charging them, just sort of learning and finding my feet. And I remember feeling so lost and so depressed, and I was like, I need to move home or something needs to change. And I don't know if you remember, but I sat in the car park at school and you did a psychic reading with me, and you were the one that said, "No, sweetheart, you're just doing the wrong job."
Oh gosh.
You did. And I drove out of there going, of course I'm in the wrong job. Like, that's what's making everything feel so confusing and so weird. And you sort of encouraged me to trust myself and just fall into acupuncture. And that was really scary, because I'd done 6 years of teaching in a wonderful private school, but I loved the children, I loved everything about it, but it just wasn't the calling, I just still felt lost in doing it. But when I spent that time treating everybody else as animals, that was like being home again for me. And
That's so beautiful. I hate to interrupt, but,
no,
but I'm
go
going to, because, as you're speaking, it's like whenever I do talk to people about, how did you get into the field of work that you're doing, there's always an animal. There's always seems to be one that has called them back to it. Like Oki, such a kind and gentle gentleman. He's a gentleman,
Isn't he?
He is a gentleman. And, they seem to always have that key, don't they? They hold the key. We don't always know it at the time.
We don't. And it's like they have that lesson to teach you something. And if you're willing to be open to it and you're willing to go with whatever they are trying to tell you, the things in your life that you can change, driven by this one animal, is phenomenal.
It is. It absolutely is.
I mean, like I said, I took him home to put him to sleep. He was in early stage, kidney disease. He was an absolute skeleton. He was too scared to drink from the dam of the paddock he was in, so he was severely dehydrated. He's a 17-hand horse that was skeletal. And, we just said to the girl, we went to go buy him as a schoolmaster, and we said to the girl, put him on the truck and we won't call the RSPCA. Give him to us because he deserves something better than this. And, our vet she'd worked in the racing industry for a very long time and seen some pretty horrible things. And I don't know, something in her was just like, no, we can do something for this guy. We're not going to put him to sleep.
It's an unusual thing, in people's perspectives. We're not sort of raised to really understand too much about holistic options for animals. Certainly my generation was not. Our answer to everything was, run to the vet and that's okay, but that's the only option that we had. Acupuncture, we know that for people, but what are some of the examples that you've seen in terms of success rates or some responses or reactions from the animals that you've provided acupuncture for? And what are some of those animals?
I mean, so we'll take Oki as our first example. He had kissing spines, which is, quite painful for them. And we were working on that. And, I mean, increasing the blood flow, which then increases the muscle, which then helps them have a better posture, changed his entire shape to where we could ride him again. And he had several years of pain-free, very happy riding. I've sadly just lost him last night. A client of mine who, it would have been even longer, 3 months ago, she went to the vet and he had collapsed. He had potentially ruptured a disc. They didn't do enough imaging to find that out. But that was based on x-rays, based on the vet's experience, had said, ruptured disc, do you even want to bother continuing? And luckily she sort of had a very strong connection with this boy. And she was like, I know he's 14, but he's got so much life in him still. I want to try. I just want to try something. They put him on some steroids. He sort of started walking and stumbling and falling all over the place. She actually lived around the corner from me and heard from someone come down and see Tam. After the first treatment, he was walking. After the second treatment, he was running. After the third treatment, he was jumping in and out of my clinic like a puppy and off the steroids completely. He didn't pass away from the back issue, passed away from hemangiosarcoma, which was completely hidden and unfound. So the fact that we could give him another 3-4 months with his mom when the only option at the vet clinic was to put him to sleep, I'll take it any day. And I mean, quality, no pain, happy, playing, back to himself. So that happens very often in our clinic. A lot of the stuff we do with acupuncture is spinal, but it's not only isolated to that. We do dogs with kidney disease where we give them much longer than they would have had otherwise, just by helping their body function properly. Same with liver disease. My boy has that at the moment, and I can't tell you a single symptom that we're seeing from the actual disease at all, and he's not on medication.
Is it a well-known field? Like, is it easy?
No, it wasn't when we started. Now, yes, we've got a lot of vets on board, and I think that's partly due to increases in studies, better sort of case studies and that coming out now. So vets are starting to trust that. I mean, they are in a field where research is everything. and they do need to see those results. I did a lot of work with a lot of vet clinics over the past 12 years of showing them anecdotal results and working with them as closely as they would let me with patients so they could actually see the difference. They knew what part of their medicine was working and the stuff that they could not account for. So that helped a lot in getting those sort of vets on board to say, look, do this, do the medicine, do the diagnostics, but also do this. And it's, I mean, for humans, everybody goes to an acupuncturist at some point in their life. They have a dabble with it, or they know about it, or there's 20 clinics in their area that they can go to. There isn't a lot of people doing acupuncture. It's a very small field, especially in this area. So it isn't easy to find. I mean, I know in your area, I think it's impossible. Do you have anyone there?
We do have a couple of acupuncturists up here where I am in Cairns, but I'll tell you what, pardon me, I have had acupuncture myself because I have a fused L1 and L2, and that has caused me grief occasionally in my life, and I can vouch for acupuncture for myself, but you know, I often, when I hear about the work that you do, I think, gee, is that applicable to any animal? I mean, people have pet snakes that might be, I know it might sound a bit strange, but it might get run over or something. Can acupuncture help all animals?
Absolutely. There's no limits to, I mean, it's an entire medical system in itself, you know, and it was used on animals for many, many years before we even got a Western medical system. So any animal, anything. I mean, I've worked on donkeys. I regularly acupuncture my cattle. The wonderful guru that I studied with has done koi fish. He's done African animals. He's done, I mean, anything. I actually had a joke with him over dinner one night, and we went through a whole alphabet of animals, and there was only a handful that he hadn't treated. You know, like he stuck needles in everything.
Did you say fish? Did you say koi fish?
Koi fish. He has treated a koi fish.
How do you catch it?
I don't know. I don't know. But he did it.
That is awesome.
He did it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's his belief. You know, if it's got a soul, you can treat it. So
that's very, very true. Can I ask, you know, when you prepare to do acupuncture on an animal or any of the healing work that you do, because you also do Reiki, you've got lots of healing skills, do you need to be in a space yourself to do this work? Like, do you find that if you're in the right space, there's a better result, or is it just the actual application itself?
I mean, with acupuncture, the application is everything. So people, you know, will often say, oh, you're wonderful and, you know, you're this and that. But my answer is always no, it's acupuncture. Of course, you need to be in a really clear space to be able to treat. And that's more just so that you're feeling and tuning in with the animal as best you can, that you're palpating properly. And I mean, it's such a complex Chinese medicine. I will forever be learning all the different syndromes and symptoms, and I will forever be in my textbooks. There's always something different. It never presents the same way. It's a very, very difficult modality to learn and to do properly. So yes, you absolutely need to be clear. I'm always, you know, I drink a lot of tea and a lot of water, and I'm always sort of prepared mentally for my clients as well. So when one client leaves, I do take some time between to clear the clinic out. Sometimes that involves sage, depending on what we've been treating. And just taking a minute to just clear my own mind and take away everything else that I'm dealing with and just be really in the moment and really focused on the animal.
In a sense, it's a complete holistic experience, isn't it? Because you treat the physical body, but of course you're also treating the emotional body as well.
And of the human as well.
Yeah,
you know,
well,
like it's the person comes in as well. And I mean, you know this with the work you do, they are so interconnected. What is going on with that dog is going on with that person. So you've also got to be such a space for my human clients to come and feel comfortable enough to tell me what's going on, and to work through things with me as well for the benefit of their animals.
I love that you say that, because most people that are in this field of holistic therapies, it's a bit of a giggle on the side, in that we say, well, it's always, you know, it's 9/10 of the issue is the person.
Yeah, the owner freeloads of treatment every time they come.
And the animal, you know,
charge them double.
That's it, exactly. But you know, cure the person, cure the animal, because it doesn't matter whether it's a horse or a dog or a cat or a bird or a fish or whatever, they all absorb from the person that's in their immediate environment, don't they? And we all know that, but it's kind of like, how do I sneaky work with the person, and
yeah, exactly.
And then you can.
I mean, half the time you don't need to. I feel like a hairdresser most days with all the goss you get in the clinic. And people feel, I don't know, this is the beautiful thing about animals. They help people open up, and feel okay to talk about things that, they might not do in another setting. So I think it's very healing. And a lot of the times, I do a lot of palliative care, and a lot of people say to me that must be so difficult, knowing what the end outcome is going to be. But it's actually not. It's actually really beautiful, because that hour that person gets with their dog is so special, and they get to drive out to the farm. And it's very rare that in your life, when you have a geriatric dog, that you can sit with them and take a whole hour and just be like in this really lovely, calming space where your dog's getting treatment, and it makes the human feel so much better that the dog's getting relief and comfort, and so they do as well. And it kind of helps them transition into a space where they can say goodbye to their pet and know that they've done everything. So, it's just, but even that whole experience of just putting them in there and making them have that hour together is so valuable.
That's super important, for the animals also to be able to be with their person at that time, because you would know as much as anyone else. Most of the time, the animals are fine to transition. They're fine to do that.
It's us with the issues.
It's us with the freak out issues and our, our attachments and what have you.
Yeah.
So that's a really super beautiful thing that you do. I wanted to ask you, when people come to you for you to heal or for you to mend or repair or whatever it is they expect of you, what do you find are some of the common misconceptions that people have about what you can do and what you can't do?
Well, they all think I can make a very detailed diagnosis of their animal. I think maybe they think that there's X-ray eyes here or something. That's not true, And I'm very pro-vet. I work very closely with our local vets, with our specialist vets, and you have to, because their form of medicine is so valuable as well. Yeah. And their ability to diagnose and to give us a pathway to then support that dog holistically is so important. So I do get a lot of people who go, I don't want to go to the vet, I just want to come here. And sometimes that's fine, because there is nothing the vet can do in those circumstances, but they want me to tell them still what's wrong with their dog. Is it a fracture? Is it cancer? Is it this? Is it that? We're legally not allowed to, and we physically cannot do that. Yeah. So, it's not possible to, we can feel into things, and I can tell you what their meridians are doing. I can tell you how their body feels and is functioning, but and work on that. But that is probably one of the biggest things. And it is frustrating for the owners, and it is frustrating for me to help encourage them, look, these are the scans we really need, or no, you're okay to keep coming here. And so it's always this little dance between, me and them to try to work that out. But I would say that's probably the biggest misconception. Otherwise, a lot of people have had it for themselves, so they kind of know what they're going to get, and they kind of know what to expect, which is really helpful. I think some modalities people haven't tried for themselves, and then they go in and expect miracles to happen. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. It's just it's finding that.
And it's human nature that we want to fix everything, and sometimes it's just not meant to be. Sometimes there's a time for everything, a season for everything.
Yeah,
I'd like to switch hats for a moment and just talk about nutrition. Now, nutrition is massive over the years. It's changed. And I was saying to my husband the other week, because as you know, I now have I have two poodles.
Yeah.
But the first poodle, he just lived on air for the first 3 months or 4 months, and I thought, oh my God, you know what? This dog won't eat anything. And I cast my mind back to my mum when I was a kid, and she had a Labrador, and this Labrador lived on a can of Pal and a bone. You know what I mean? That was it. A can of Pal and a great big bone that lasted a week. And I thought, hasn't animal nutrition changed over the years?
Yes.
Huge, because as we recognize that they're sentient beings, we recognize their systems require the same levels of vitamins and minerals and nutrition that we require. You are huge on nutrition. So tell us a little about some of the things that you find people just miss or don't get, and not because they're ignorant, but because they just simply don't know which way to turn. There's so much out there. What can you say to that?
Yes, I mean, nutrition has underpinned everything I've done since my Labrador Nashi was puppy. His breeder was like, and this is the mistake everybody makes. They buy a new puppy and they will do whatever their breeder says or whatever their first vet says, because that is everything, right? That's where you get your information from. And this happened with me, and I was lucky that his breeder was into raw feeding, was into biologically appropriate food. Had he not been, it would have taken me a lot longer to figure out that that's what dogs thrive on. Most people are sort of coming at it from a feed kibble. It's pre-made, balanced, got all your minerals, got all your nutrients, got everything in it. And to an extent it does, but it's also very heavily processed, and the quality is very questionable, even in the good brands. And so I guess the biggest mistake people are making from both sides is that they will go, okay, we know that they are a sentient being. They're not a human, but they biologically require what humans do eat, in the sense that fresh food is king, right? No doctor is going to tell you, oh, you should eat things out of a bag every single day. No doctor is going to tell you that. It's just ridiculous. And our dogs are absolutely, they're no different. Of course, they're carnivores or obligate carnivores. And so their requirements are a bit different to a human, but not when it comes to fresh food. Like no living being is not going to thrive on fresh food. The problem that we have is that people, they try and they go, okay, we know this is right. Let's try and make them a diet, and they miss so many things. And that's where our lovely vets get very annoyed, and they say, please feed kibble, because at least it's done for you, and at least that dog is getting all the supplements that they need. And so I 100% understand that, because I love my beautiful clients. They come in the door and they're trying so hard for their pets, but they're just not getting the right information in terms of diet. The only person who can formulate a diet for you is a nutritionist, properly, to make sure that that dog is getting everything and specific to that dog, because like humans, we're not all the same, and a one size doesn't fit all. So I guess that's sort of the biggest thing, is trying to get the right information and get people to feed properly. It's not difficult. It's just getting the right information.
Is it breed appropriate? Like, for example, what you might feed a working Kelpie, would you feed that to a Shih Tzu? Would you feed the same? Is the diet breed appropriate? Or are there different foods for different breeds that are more appropriate for them? Or
yeah, I mean, not even breed appropriate, but just lifestyle appropriate. So your working Kelpie, yes, they need way more calories than your little poodle who's sitting on the couch is going to need. And so we take that all into consideration. When I do a nutrition consult, it's like I know everything about that dog before I'm designing a diet, down to blood tests and now hair mineral analysis, so we can see what their minerals in their body are actually doing. If people want to go that crazy, if they're trying to deal with a particular health issue, because particular health issues require particular diets as well.
Right.
If you've got a dog with kidney disease, they need a very specific diet that's very low in phosphorus. If you've got liver dogs, you've got to feed them a very particular diet as well, not too much calcium.
Right.
It's all just, there's so many complexities in it. And then just to feed a general diet to a general family pet, then you've got to look at, what they're doing with their metabolism, their exercise levels. It's very specific to that. And you can't get that out of a bag as well,
Yes, and also I think with perhaps with different environments. I know, bringing our little boy up from New South Wales to Cairns, it would have been a huge shock, because it was right bang smack in the middle of our summer, which is just brutal for people, for anybody that lives here. And a different family, a new house, a new environment, and even trying to keep to the same foods. He was like, I don't want this, I don't want that. I tried, I think I own shares in Petstock, because I think I bought every type of raw cooked not cooked, you name it, bought fish, bought blueberries, did the whole box and dice, cleaned out IGA, and I could not get this dog to eat. And, of course, I'm personally involved. I'm emotionally involved because it's my dog.
It's very worrying too when your dog won't eat. I feel like psychologically for the human, that's one of the biggest stresses I get in the clinic. Like, I don't know, my dog won't eat. And even with our golden retrievers, you know, puppy families. And what people don't realize, everyone thinks if my dog's not eating, they're sick. And sometimes they are. More often than not, hormones play a factor, age plays a factor, just like you're saying, heat plays a factor. And then you have your psychological dogs. I just went to Melbourne this weekend and stayed with some old school friends from South Africa, 2 Frenchies. The one will sit in front of his bowl. He's got beautiful food. He's on Leica, brilliant brand. Sits in front of his bowl for an hour and will not touch it. There's nothing wrong with this dog. They've had every health test done. He is psychologically manipulating his family. I watched it for 2 days and I asked questions.
Oh, my God, I love that.
It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. I watched it for 2 days and I asked every question. They've had multiple behaviourists come in. They've had everyone. And I said, do you just leave that bowl there for the hour? And they went, yes. I said, put it on the counter and eat your own dinner. And they're like, for them to pick it up and put it on the counter, I think it broke something inside them. Like, they were just like, you what? And if they listen to this, they're going to be laughing their asses off too, because they know.
Oh, but that's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah, I can't do it. And I said, and then you're going to put it in the fridge. You're going to leave it there until tomorrow night when that dog eats again. And they're like, we can't do that. I was like, you have to. You absolutely have to. Anyway, they did. They put it up on the counter. And I think they lasted an hour. I think.
Yeah.
I even think it was an hour. But that dog broke so quick. He was already looking in the other bowl, getting quite frantic. Like, why would you take that away from me? They put the bowl down. He ate the whole thing. I don't know what happened yesterday after I left. I gave them strict instructions, I hope.
Because you're onto it. You're onto it.
I'm like, he is manipulating you guys because he knows if I hold out for that, you'll probably add an egg. You'll probably add some, you know, they bought him some Ziwi pig, probably put that in there. You're probably going to get something, and then I'll do it on my terms.
Oh, my God.
So that happens.
That sounds happens. Like what I've done, Tamara. That sounds exactly what I did with Monty. I panic fed. I tried everything in the shop, and he's like, "No, I'm not doing that right now because I'm not happy about something else." And of course, you know, I work with other people's dogs, and I don't have a problem communicating or connecting or finding out that my child. No,
it's so much harder.
Oh my God, worst pet parent ever, Lise. But never mind. We do these things, don't we?
That's why I come to you to do all my communication with my animals, because when it's my own, I'm too emotionally invested.
And that's why I come to you when I have nutrition issues or what's going on here or there, because, you know, when you're a mum, the emotions get in the way. You're not really getting that clarity, and you're not getting that sort of practicality. You go into freak out mode, you know. And then, what have I done wrong? What have I done wrong? And it's like, I love that. He was just manipulating his pet parents.
Oh, he was. And his pet brother, you know, and his little Frenchie brother who would sit there and drool over his bowl for the whole. He loved it. He loves the power, you know. He's like, you would have a fabulous time communicating with Leo. He's hysterical.
Oh, yeah, look, that's for another time, but I have met some crackers. I have met some absolute crackers. So anyway, that's another thing, just talking about nutrition there. I think someone once said to me that vets aren't actually trained in nutrition, and that's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just that they're trained in other things, you know, what the surgery and dialysis, not dialysis. What am I talking about?
Diagnostics, yeah.
Yeah. If you're concerned about nutrition for an animal, do you come to somebody like you, a specific animal nutritionist?
Absolutely. So my favorite thing to say to people when I hear that argument that vets are not qualified in nutrition, like, that's not because they choose that. That is because they have to be a master of all these different breeds of dog, types of animal, and then they have to be like a GP. They have to, you know, they have to be a physio. They have to be a surgeon. Like, their body of knowledge is huge. Nutrition is such a small part, and so this is why I think a lot of the time they do rely on kibble, because it's an easy thing to just be like, it's balanced, put your dog on it. Like we don't have time to deal with that.
Right.
So, it's a very small portion of the university study as well, and it is run by kibble companies. So, very, very hard for them to then be a nutritionist. A nutrition consult takes forever. If you're doing it properly, it takes forever. And then it takes forever for that person to then put together a specific program for your dog to get it all right. So they don't have the time for that. Definitely people need to come and see a qualified nutritionist in order to get a plan, and then they can tweak that plan based on whatever the dog needs throughout their lifetime. It's so easy, and it can be a phone consult.
And for something else, for a situation, say, like a greyhound that may have spent its life eating a certain, regimental balanced meal, and then that greyhound is then such as Gumtree Greys, where they reprogram them for domestic life. And perhaps because their lifestyle has changed, would maybe their diet change a little too? So if people were looking at maybe taking on greyhounds as reprogrammed domestic companions, would they benefit from talking to you about a change in lifestyle for them?
Yes, absolutely. And a lot of those dogs have had very strange things put into their bodies over the years as well. I've actually got in my clinic this afternoon 2 greyhounds, so it's very good that you're saying that. They're my regulars. They are the fussiest eaters ever. So I'm constantly working. So I sort of, as part of my consult, I do talk nutrition anyway. Whether they book the nutrition consult or not, I'm still going to talk about it, because you can't do one without the other. And these dogs, we are constantly tweaking what they're doing based on their life and what's happening, based on, digestive issues from stress-related stuff when they were racing. So then we've got to we've got to change this probiotic. Let's start feeding prebiotic foods in there. Every lifestyle change, I think, requires that, speaking to somebody who can help you with it. There's a lot of stuff online. There's great websites with great information. Perfectly Rawsome is one of them, that you can buy a subscription to, and you can learn yourself as well. And then if you get stuck, you can do consults through them. There's so many places where you can get help, and it's just finding it. That's all.
Yeah, and it's sorting it out, because having all that help out there is beneficial, but it's also really overwhelming. If you don't know, if you think you don't, you want to do the best thing for your dog or your horse, or you want to do the best, but everybody has a different opinion on what's good on, on this hand is not good on that hand, and
exactly.
And you end up feeling very overwhelmed and very guilty, because what if I haven't done the right thing?
Yeah. Who do you believe? Everyone's got an argument for everything, don't they? It's just a debate. I try and just speak to results and speak to as much science as I can when it comes to what these dogs. And like you mentioned before, I grew up in South Africa, and I spent so much time in the bush watching what wild animals do. And whenever I'm confused about something, that is always what I come back to. I know our dogs are not wild animals, but their biology has not changed that much. Sure, they've adapted over the years, and a dog will live on a diet that's very average. They can survive on it, but they don't thrive on it. So giving your dog appropriate foods that meet their biological needs will make your dog thrive. You're not going to be at the vet as much, because they're not going to have immune issues and, little weaknesses and gut issues and things that weaken their system to then make them get sick. I've owned plenty of dogs for a long time, and I've never changed what I've done, and I've just never had a problem. And to me, that speaks volumes. I've got a breed of dog that's prone to a lot of genetic disease. 30% of these diseases are down to genetics, and the rest is down to environment, which includes food. So chemicals and food that you're putting into your animal. It's a very important topic if you want to keep your dogs healthy and if you want them to live a long time. A lot of times you hear people say, but I fed my dog, the kibble off the supermarket shelf, and it lived to 14. Great, that dog relied on its genetics.
Right.
That's wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that. And it does happen, because dogs are capable of adapting their bodies to survive. But when you start going deeper with these people, how many health issues the dog's had throughout its life, how many vet visits have we had, all these little issues that have popped up. My indie girl, the first time she went to the vets for anything was when we were putting her to sleep.
Yes.
And this was a dog that came out of a rescue situation, and that's diet, environment, and that level of care. I'm not saying it's going to happen every time, because genetics do play that 30% role. And so that comes down to your breeding and who you're getting your dogs from, and that sort of thing as well. So there's a lot that goes in it, but I just encourage people to use your intuition, trust your gut, and be logical. What would you do for yourself? Do that for your dog. Not in terms of creating a diet, but in terms of choosing fresh or not fresh.
That's super, 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 super important, the nutrition. For any of us, because we are physical beings. We do have physical bodies. We function in the physical world, so it's super important, as you say, not only to look after our own bodies and our own nutrition, but to look after our animals as well. But I just want you also to touch on what you feel is a psychological tip that you would offer somebody, because I do feel that sometimes our animals' health can be hugely affected by what's going on with their person. Do you ever talk to people about what's happening in your home? Has there been anything like a divorce, or has there been a new baby come into the home? Or do you ask those questions? Do you find that sometimes the answers to these questions are an element of a dog's health?
Overall health, you mean, not just diet?
Yeah, overall
absolutely,
health.
Absolutely. That's one of my questions straight away. And you can gauge it, like when you've been working in it for so long, I can start getting ideas about that animal from the second it gets out of the car. I mean, I'll always walk out of my clinic and I'll always look at a dog and look at the family. And I'm not doing that to be judgmental. I'm doing that because I need to see a whole picture. And that's what holistic medicine is. It's not taking symptoms and treating symptoms. It's looking at the whole pet, including their lifestyle, including their environment, including what the family is going through, and then trying to find something that works for them as a whole. So, we've had pups that have come in very stressed. And then when you start looking at the owner, speaking to the owner, it's very impossible as somebody qualified in Chinese medicine to not apply to the human as well. So all those things we learn about dogs, we still look for in the person. Their skin color, are they pale? Are they not pale? Are they shaky? Are they not shaky? What are their mannerisms? All that stuff plays into Chinese medicine. And that's how we make our Chinese, the TCM diagnostic. Is there prolonged stress? Is, like you say, is there a new baby? What kind of stress is that putting on the family? Because we know that our emotions play a role in our health. As humans, we know that. And so absolutely with animals, we talk about it all the time with families. And like I said, they come to a place where they feel that they're talking about their dog. So it's an easier thing to then start sort of chatting about what else is happening because they're doing it for their dog.
Yeah, you talk a lot about, mostly about dogs, I suppose, because, they're very much your world with Whiskey River retrievers. You've bred some absolutely extraordinary retrievers, and they're always of the pinnacle of health. What was that journey into breeding? Was Indy the inspiration for that? And for listeners that don't know who Indy is, Indiana was one of the most beautiful, gentle souls that I'd ever encountered in a dog. She had come from a place that was not so great, and fortunately ended up in the home of Tamara. I remember she didn't really want to talk too much or share too much about her past. Because it was very difficult for her. Was Indy the inspiration for Whiskey River?
Absolutely. Indy was everything. And I love that you said that she didn't want to talk to you about it. But also an element of her not wanting to talk about it was that she was like, that's been done. That's gone. Right. And that was such a learning curve for me because I wanted to hang on to that story. Like I wanted to feel something about it so that I could do better for dogs in the future, which is what Whiskey River is. But it was such a great learning thing for me as a human to go, yeah, we don't have to hang on to these traumas and these things. Yes, we need to acknowledge them, but it's okay to let it go as well. And Indy was such that dog. Indy was an absolute mess when we got her. She couldn't look at a human without wetting herself. She had never experienced ball play. She'd been kept in a cage. She'd been forced to have litter after litter after litter. She was an absolute wreck. But put her into a home where she had all of the things she needed and a lot of love and time and no pressure. And this was the best dog in the world. She just came in leaps and bounds. And, every time I sort of kept saying to you, I really want to know what happened. I really want to know what happened. And she was like, forget it. I don't want to talk about it. Like, I'm done. I'm finished. My life's great now. And isn't that an awesome thing that animals can just do that? And they can be so present and be able to acknowledge something and move through it and let it go.
Absolutely. And they're so forgiving. That they're so forgiving when they feel that they're in a safe and loving environment. It's incredible how quickly they can adjust. I mean, there's some residual behavior there from time to time, but we humans, we hold on to stories. We have this victim mentality thing.
Absolutely.
We hang on to the story and blame everything for everything. And that's the beauty of animals is, they don't hold on to their story consciously. They don't want to talk about it. They just want to live in the moment and be happy and be loved. And ironically, that's pretty much what we want, isn't it?
Yeah. And their capacity for healing and love is so great. And so is ours. We have that potential to learn from them and to be like that as well. And I think Indy taught us that a lot. But what it also opened the doors for was Whiskey River. And I never, ever thought that I would be living in a house. And prime example, talking to my friends this weekend, they've known me my whole life, and they just said, we never saw you on a farm with all these animals and 7 dogs in your house. What the hell happened? And we did talk a lot about Indy and that this weekend. And so I did, I looked at her situation and I just hated it. It was a backyard breeding situation where money drives everything. There's no care or concern for the animal. There's no love. There's no relationship. Our breeding program aims to do 3 things really well, and that's breed from excellent bloodlines that are genetically tested and healthy, raised in a very conscious, very loving, very structured way so that I can ensure that these puppies, when they leave me, have every opportunity to live a very long and happy life with the same family. I know that doesn't always happen, but so far we have not had a problem at all yet in 4 years. And then be able to educate these families on how to properly feed a dog, raise a dog emotionally, spiritually, physically, and open the doors to all these wonderful modalities and things that we can offer our animals, which they otherwise would never hear about. So all of that is in honor of our girl, because I don't want any other dog to ever come from that situation and feel the way that she felt for a period of her life.
And that kind of brings us around full circle, because we opened this up by talking about Oki and how he had such a huge impact on you in the in the early days of your career, and now we look at Indy, who's I guess was a key to another aspect of what you offer. And I do want to say one of the things that I love about Whiskey River is that when your dogs have their litter, I love how you always have almost like a journal, a video journal, because we all get to see the puppies from go to woe, right from the moment they're born. They're still living with mum, but they're playing, and what you do to educate them psychologically with different coloured toys and different shapes, and getting them used to different experiences, even different lighting, all the different experiences that they go through, you share with people on Facebook on the way through, and then they might watch these puppies and go, oh my gosh, I'm drawn to this puppy or that puppy. So it's like you provide the journey right from the very start, and then when they do come to collect their puppy, they're then given this beautiful future of how to manage their dog for the rest of their life. And I love that, because so many other places, breeders you might go to, and it's like once the money's changed hands, that's the end of the penny section.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But your dog people seem to know each other, and they come to your place sometimes for play or stay or whatever happens. And I just think that's really very, very special, and kudos to you for that, because each dog is recognised for their uniqueness, their personality, their individuality, and their journey is respected.
It's a great program for our families too. Do you know I'm in contact with every single person that's ever owned a Whiskey River from it? Like, we have a Facebook page, and they cannot take that dog home unless they participate.
No.
So they have to, and they have to, in the contract, they contractually obligated that if they cannot care for that golden anymore, they need to bring it back to me, and I will help them rehome that puppy to the most appropriate family, whether that puppy's 6 months old or 10 years old. And if anything ever happens, I want them to call me. I want to be part of helping and offering support and guidance, because, breeding, you can never guarantee anything. You can do everything right. Doesn't mean everything's always going to go the way you want it. But if you can be open enough to be there and work with people and offer them a family as such when they take their puppy, and we call it the Whiskey River family, that they've always got somebody to trust and go back to. And that's the biggest thing. It's not like, have a dog, see you later, don't want to know, don't call me. I love seeing updates. I get updates all the time of my dogs, and they are living the best lives ever, and they've changed their people's lives too, which is so rewarding. It's such a wonderful job,
Yeah,
we're very conscious about how many litters we breed a year, how we do it. My girls, I consult with you every time before I breed a litter, and get you to check in with them and see if they want to, how they feel about it, if there's anything they need from me. And that's just something that I think has always been really valuable in giving them their own choices as well,
There's a little bit more that I want to drag out of you. One of the things I did want to ask is if you could offer one tip, one simple exercise, one suggestion to people that are listening in with regards to how to make their animals have a better life. And I know that that's a very broad swept question. But if there was one thing that you find yourself in your mind going over and over, there's always one issue. There's always one thing that you think, oh, look, if I could just get people to understand this, what would that be for you?
Regardless of your dog's age, take them to see an acupuncturist or holistic practitioner, regardless of their age or symptoms. The biggest thing that I have, and I deal with it, I would say nearly every day. They come and meet me because I'm an end point. I'm the last resort. And everybody says, I wish I'd known about this sooner. The clients that I have that have been curious about seeing, and I'm not just saying acupuncture, I'm saying get in the door of somebody who's just a bit holistic, whether it's a nutritionist, whether it's a body worker. Just go and listen to them. Just open the door to it and just give your dog that opportunity to look at them as more than just a pet that just sees the vet. Give them an opportunity to have a life where you can discuss changes in their nutrition, where you can do body work, because they might have a sore shoulder and you don't know about it. Dogs are incredibly, and animals in general, I mean, it's not just dogs, animals in general are very stoic, and they'll hide things. They're, a lot of times they're prey animals, so they'll hide things, especially a horse. So get someone in that you can just ask questions of, and you can have a treatment and you can see how you feel about it, and you can learn a little bit, because I promise you, if you can start your dogs as early as you can on a bodywork program, even if you are not ready to stop the kibble but you're curious, you can add fresh foods in and you can get somebody to help you with that. Because all these things are going to help your dog not only live a longer life, but just a much better one. The goal for us is we want our dogs to be healthy, 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 dead. We don't want them to be healthy, sick, declining, bad quality of life, and then slowly passing away. We want our dogs to be healthy until the day they die. And it's possible. I mean, Indy went for a 2K run and the next day she passed away. Terrible for me. I miss her dearly. But best thing for her, Okay. And I truly believe that's everything we put into her throughout her life.
I'm feeling a little bit sad myself at the moment thinking back on beautiful Indy.
I know, we can't talk about it too much. I'll cry.
No,
I've only got
can't.
2 tattoos on my body, and they're probably the only ones I will ever get. And one is Indy's birth flowers, and one is Oki. So
wow,
the one that started it, and the 2 that really started everything. So.
Yeah, they certainly set you on your way, and they do,
Exactly.
don't they? They're emissaries. They seem to turn up at just the time of at that time in your life when you either need a change, or they redirect you into something that you're meant to be doing. I just love animals, and I truly believe that every single one of them comes into our life for a reason and a purpose, and either as a guide or a guardian or a teacher or a supporter or a healer. They're all so different. You just have to
be open to the possibility of that. You've got to give them a chance. Let them teach you stuff, and don't question yourself. I spent a lot of years questioning stuff and going, that can't be. I mean, you must see it all the time in your industry, but how can that be? When you just trust it and you just let them teach you things and you allow your life to go in those directions. I mean, the things you can change and do, and how wonderful, that they can give us this.
Absolutely. So look, Tam, just in closing now, I would like to let people know how they can get in touch with you if they want to talk to you about acupuncture or about Whiskey River retrievers, about nutrition for their dogs. What is the best way for people to get hold of you? And do you offer sessions over Zoom, or do people need to be face-to-face? How do you best work?
So our easiest way is to probably pop on the website, which is whiskeyriverranch.com.au. And that has links to everything. So you can book an appointment online. Phone consults for nutrition is absolutely fine. Obviously, acupuncture is done in person. But you know what? You can even contact me if we're not in the same state. I do have access to our practitioner group all over Australia, and I can just pop a little message on there and find an acupuncturist in your area. And we've all studied the same way and the same thing, so you're going to get something very similar. But yeah, if you hop on the website, that's the best way. And I'm happy to, my phone number's on there. You can give me a call, shoot me a text, whatever.
That lets people know where you are, because, where you're physically located as well.
So we're in Northern Rivers. We're actually on the Queensland border, which we do still have a lot of our Gold Coast people coming down to see us. Everyone loves it. It's out on our property. We've got a little farm clinic. And yeah, everyone they like the drive, come out, and the dogs love it. It's not a scary vet clinic or anything. It doesn't smell like that. It's very farmy and happy, and the dogs can have a walk and a play in the creek before their treatment. So northern New South Wales, Murwillumbah is our closest town for anyone who's familiar with the area.
Okay, and for those that may not be, the Northern Rivers is, as Tamara said, on the border of New South Wales and Queensland, on the east coast of Australia. If you're able to do face-to-face, you can. If not, you can certainly get in touch with Tamara for any of those issues, and probably more. She's more knowledgeable than what we've had time to discuss today. So, Tam, I just want to thank you so much for your time today and for your wisdom and your knowledge. It's just absolutely brilliant. I've certainly learned a lot today. And by the sounds of your ranch, I wouldn't mind coming for a dip in the creek myself, to be honest.
Well, you've got to get that caravan sorted and hit the road.
That's very true.
You've got 2 poodles that need to get in the clinic now.
Oh, I know. Yes, a little one's just recovering. She just had her second puppy vaccine, and would you believe, had an anaphylactic response.
Oh, no.
So, yes, we nearly lost Miss Millie yesterday.
But how terrifying.
She's okay now, yes, and me being the manic mum that I am, manic pet parent, it's like, oh, my God. So I'm going to just thank you, Tam, so much. And everybody, you've got all the information there to get hold of Tamara. Please do reach out to her. If she's not able to get back to you straight away, she definitely will at her earliest convenience. So, Tam, thanks so much. And
absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful to find these platforms where we can actually talk about what we do. So thanks for offering that, Lisa.
You're very welcome. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye for now. And that's where we'll leave today's episode. So thank you so much for spending this time with me on Enlightened Connections. If you'd like to stay connected, you'll find me at lisaastonmichael.com. and on YouTube at Lisa Aston Michael, Instagram and Facebook and all the usuals. And all the links are in the show notes for you as well. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd be so grateful if you followed or subscribed to the podcast and perhaps shared it with a friend who might also find inspiration here. It really helps this community grow. So until next time, remember every connection, whether people or animals, brings us closer to healing and understanding. And if you'd like to support this show, you can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/enlightened with Lisa. And there's a couple of freebies there for you as my way of saying thank you so much for your time and for listening. And stay safe until next week.